or a drive on almost any road in Britain today and you'll quickly notice something, that the surface isn't smooth anymore. In many places it's cracked, patched, uneven, and sometimes it looks like it's been bombed. Potholes, crumbling tarmac, temporary repairs that fall apart within months, sometimes within weeks. For drivers, it's frustrating and can be expensive. But for motorcyclists, it can be something far, far more serious. Because when you're on two wheels, a pothole isn't just a bump in the road anymore. It can be the difference between staying upright and hitting the ground at 60 miles an hour. I'm asking a serious question. Are the UK's deteriorating roads putting bikers at an unacceptable risk? And more importantly, is the UK government failing in its duty of care to protect the people who ride on them? Across the UK, the condition of local roads has been deteriorating for years. Anyone who drives regularly already knows this, but the scale of the problem is staggering. Local authorities across the country are responsible for maintaining hundreds of thousands of miles of road. Yet year after year, councils warn that they simply don't have the funding needed to keep up with the repairs. The result is what engineers call a maintenance backlog, essentially a growing list of roads that need resurfacing but cannot yet be repaired. And that backlog has now reached billions of pounds. Instead of full resurfacing, councils often resort to temporary fixes, patching, filling, quick repairs designed to keep roads passable rather than restore them properly. At first glance, it looks like the pothole problem is being dealt with, but in reality, many of these repairs don't last. Water seeps in, winter comes, the surface freezes, expands, cracks, and the potholes come back, sometimes bigger than they were originally. Now imagine hitting one of those potholes in a car. It's annoying. Your suspension jolts, your steering wheel jumps, maybe you damage a tyre, or put a bend in an alloy wheel. That might cost you a few £100 to fix. But you're still inside a vehicle weighing more than a tonne, protected by 4 tyres and a stable chassis. Now imagine hitting that same pothole on a motorcycle. Your front wheel drops suddenly, your suspension compresses violently. If you're leaning into a corner, the bike will instantly destabilise. And if the front tyre loses grip, the rider can be thrown from the machine in a fraction of a second. Motorcyclists operate with 2 tiny contact patches on the road, each one roughly the size of a credit card. That's all the rubber connecting the rider to the tarmac. So when the tarmac itself fails, the margin for error disappears. Potholes are particularly dangerous for bikers for another reason: visibility. Drivers sit higher and have a wider view of the road ahead. Motorcyclists are lower and often committed to a riding line through bends or through traffic. If a pothole appears mid-corner, there may be no safe way to avoid it. Swerve too suddenly and you risk losing control. Brake too hard while leaning and the tyres can slide. Sometimes the only option is to ride straight over it and hope for the best, and at speed, that hope isn't enough. It isn't just potholes either. Deteriorating road surfaces create loose gravel, broken tarmac edges, uneven patches where repairs meet the original road surface. For car drivers, these imperfections might barely register. For motorcyclists, they can upset the entire balance of the bike. Particularly on rural roads where speeds are higher and surfaces can deteriorate more quickly. Ironically, these are also the roads that many riders enjoy the most. Scenic routes, twisting country lanes, the kind of roads motorcycles were made for. But increasingly, riders say those roads are becoming too hazardous. So how did the UK's roads reach this point? The answer isn't a simple one. Part of the problem is the great British weather. Britain's climate is almost perfectly designed to destroy road surfaces. Rain seeps into the cracks, winter temperatures freeze that water, expanding it and forcing the road apart. Then traffic pounds the weakened area until a pothole forms. But weather alone isn't the whole story. Traffic levels have increased dramatically over the past few decades. Modern delivery networks mean thousands more vans on the road. Heavy vehicles, buses, lorries, construction traffic place enormous stress on road surfaces. At the same time, many local authorities have seen their budgets stretched. When funding is limited, councils often prioritise urgent repairs over long-term resurfacing, which means roads get patched again and again and again, until eventually the entire surface becomes a patchwork quilt of repairs. So who is actually responsible for fixing the roads? In the UK, most roads are maintained by local councils, also known as highway authorities. They are legally responsible for ensuring roads are safe for public use. But their budgets often depend heavily on funding allocations from central government. This creates a complicated situation. Local authorities say they need more money to repair roads properly. National government says it is providing that money. Meanwhile, the potholes continue to appear and get worse. And road users, especially motorcyclists, are left navigating with the consequences. This brings us to the legal question. Does the government, or the local council, have a duty of care towards motorcyclists? Under UK law, highway authorities must maintain roads so they are reasonably safe for the public. And the key word there is reasonable. The law recognises that it's impossible to keep every mile of road in perfect condition all the time. Instead, councils must demonstrate that they have a reasonable system of inspection and maintenance. Typically, this means regular road inspections, recording defects, and repairing dangerous hazards within a specified time frame. If a council can show that it followed these procedures, it may not be legally liable even if someone is injured. This legal protection comes from the Highways Act, which allows authorities to defend themselves by providing they took reasonable steps to maintain the road, and this defence is more than often actually successful. That doesn't mean road users have no legal options. Drivers and riders can claim compensation for damage caused by potholes, but the success of those claims usually depends on evidence. For example, if a pothole had already been reported to the council and the council had done nothing about it, or if inspections should have identified the defect earlier. In those cases, the authority may be considered negligent, but proving that can be difficult. Many councils reject claims by arguing that the pothole appeared between inspections, or that it had not yet reached the threshold size requiring repair. But what is the threshold size for a motorcyclist? In other words, the system is designed to balance responsibility between the authorities and the unpredictability of road damage. For motorcyclists, though, the stakes are much higher. A damaged wheel is inconvenient. A crash can be life-changing or ending. And whether a rider is injured because of a road defect, the legal battle that follows can be long and complicated. Lawyers may need to prove that the road was unsafe, that the council knew or should have known about the hazard, and that the defect directly caused the accident. Without clear evidence, those crashes and cases can be difficult to win. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If the legal system makes it hard to hold authorities accountable, and the funding system leaves councils struggling to maintain roads, then who ultimately protects the road user, especially the motorcyclists? Some campaigners argue the system needs reform. They say road inspections should be more frequent, hazard thresholds should be lower, and funding for preventative maintenance should increase. because fixing roads properly once is often cheaper than patching them repeatedly. Others argue that technology could help, with smart sensors, better reporting systems, crowdsourced hazard alerts from drivers and riders. Similar to what Google Maps is like in a car, you can report congestion, roadworks, all kinds of things. In fact, many motorcyclists already use helmet cameras or dash cams, partly for insurance reasons, partly for YouTube, and other things, but also to document dangerous road conditions. Because when it comes to pothole claims, evidence can make all the difference. For now, though, the reality is that riders must adapt, scanning the road ahead constantly, reducing speed on unfamiliar routes, and assuming that the surface around the next corner might not be as smooth as it looks. It's not an ideal solution, but it's increasingly becoming part of riding in modern Britain. Roads are one of the most fundamental pieces of infrastructure in any country. They connect communities, support businesses, allow millions of people to travel safely every day. But when those roads begin to fail, the risks do not fall equally on everyone. Motorcyclists, exposed, vulnerable, and balanced on just two wheels, often face the greatest danger. And so the debate continues. Are Britain's roads simply suffering from unavoidable wear and tear? Or is the system responsible for maintaining them falling short? And if it is, what responsibility do governments have to fix it? Because for bikers across the country, this isn't just about inconvenience. It's about safety, and sometimes it's about survival. Maybe you've hit a pothole that nearly threw you off the bike. Maybe you've had to repair damage caused by a broken road surface. Or maybe you've changed the way you ride altogether simply because the roads no longer feel reliable and safe. Whatever your experience, one thing is clear. The condition of the UK's roads isn't just a motoring issue anymore. For many riders, it's becoming a matter of life and death. So I open the floor to you. What do you think about the state of our roads at the moment? And what can be done about it? If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. And keep the rubber on the road, people. Enjoy the rest of the ride.